You know,
So how do you verify?
it's very easy. The card reader will contain the details of every polling unit, and you see that's why you can't move around. If you are on the register, your details will only be in a particular polling unit.
Okay.
You know, so unless you go to your polling unit, wherever you go, you will not be verified.
You know, there are a lot of things, sir, Nyota, a lot of things to look at here. Now we've been looking at the electorate and the voter or the would-be voter if he decides to go to the elections. Can we also talk about this document? At least there's something that bothers a lot of people in the Electoral Act, and that has to do with the window before you can actually go ahead with the election. Is it 90 days before you can actually start your campaign proper?
Right.
How does that help? Don't you think that the electorates, they need more time to get to know those who are coming into offices for them to study them? Is 90 days enough?
Well, you see, it's not what I think, it is what is in the law. And what is in the law, as you rightly pointed out, is that campaigns should not start until 90 days to the election. You know, it's in the timetable we issued, it's clear in the Electoral Act. You know, so really the fact of the matter is that it is assumed that candidates do not emerge until after the party primaries. And by the timetable, the candidates can only emerge after party primaries within that window of 90 days. You know, and that is why, therefore, the law says, you know, and our timetable expressly stated so, that you can only start campaign after you have become the bona fide candidate of a political party. Because we don't have independent candidacy in our law as of now. You know, so you can only campaign as a candidate under the platform of a political party. And when a party has not yet decided who the candidate is, then what is the justification of somebody coming out to say, vote for me? Vote for you under what platform? So really that's what the law envisages, and that's why it says that campaign starts 90 days. But as we all know, many of our politicians have jumped the gun. They have started the campaigns. It's an electoral offense to do so. We've warned, we've been liaising with security agencies so that we can begin a process of identifying those who are floating this requirement, and therefore the necessary legal steps should be taken. Again, that's one of the challenges of our political and the electoral processes, the impunity with which politicians conduct themselves in the political arena. By the way, already all registered political parties have already signed a code of conduct, you know, certifying or acknowledging the need to respect the rules of the game, the need to conduct campaigns with civility, the need to ensure peaceful conduct and non-violent conduct, the need to guard utterances which are capable of creating tension and overheating the polity. All registered parties have signed this, and the commitments are not just by parties but also by the candidates that they field. You know, but when you look around, what you see are fundamental breaches of those agreements.
Are there any punitive measures when these agreements are breached?
Regrettably, this is a voluntary agreement. A code of conduct by political parties is good practice worldwide. Normally, an electoral commission encourages political parties to say, look, let's come and set the framework under which we can all participate. There are already established rules by law, you know, but let us all voluntarily agree and make a public commitment to respecting these rules. You know, and Nigerian political parties have done it. They've signed it, we remind them, you know, but somehow it's all part, regrettably, it's all part of this mentality of, and the attitude of our politicians of really engaging in politics recklessly. You know, this mindset of I must win by hook or by crook, you know, it's a do or die affair, you know. If I don't win, then everybody should lose.
Well, you seem to be changing some things now,
Yeah.
and one of it is what people would love to hear you give reasons to. And, right here we've decided to dub it the Valentine's election. Yeah. Why would you choose to do the presidential election first? And it's coming on February 14th. So why presidential as against what we normally had before now?
I think the question is, what do we normally do? And many Nigerians seem to have not interrogated that question. How did we do the election in 2011? In 2011, the sequence of the election was National Assembly elections first, presidential elections second, governorship and the State Assembly elections third. What have we done now? What we've done now is to say we will do National Assembly and presidential elections together, and we will do governorship and the state assemblies on another day. How did we change the sequence of the election? It's the same sequence. All we've done is to collapse the first two.
On the national level?
At the national level, which is, again, generally good practice. If you can't do election on one day, the normal thing is that you do national elections. That's general global good practice. If you can't do all elections in one day, it's good to do all elections in one day, but we can't do elections now in 2015 on one day. You know, the challenges are enormous, you know, and rather than do something that you may regret, it's better that you don't do it. But Nigerians want that, so we say let's start moving in that direction. Rather than do elections on 3 separate days, let's now do it on 2 days. And how do we do it? We said, well, collapse the first 2 and then leave the other one. And it's consistent with global best practices. You know, but everybody is accusing INEC of changing the sequence of the election. I ask myself, what is sequence? How has it changed?
Okay. One of the challenges that we imagine that INEC would like to correct is logistics. What are you doing about logistics this time, maybe for these elections and the general elections?
Thank you very much. I think you've touched the raw point, really. Logistics has been a persistent challenge for INEC. A lot of the reasons have to do with also our systemic challenges, you know, of infrastructure. Look, we've gone to countries, we've observed elections where all election materials are sent to the presiding officers to their houses by courier. We've seen it, but we know we are not there yet in this country. You cannot send ballot papers by courier. You know, you have to protect them, put them in CVM vaults before they are distributed, you know, which takes a lot of time. Yeah. You know, the public transport system is not good, so we have to hire vehicles. And in certain areas, even if you have money, there are no enough vehicles to hire. In some places, the major transporters are active politicians that can take your money and not deliver. You know, so there are enormous systemic challenges which also affect our capacity. But that does not mean that we should excuse what we are doing. Ideally, under normal circumstances, when we say we are starting at 8, everybody should be there before 8 so that when people come out at 8, we are there. And it has been a major challenge. And obviously, we are paying a lot of attention to that. We know that we have to keep on improving. If people look at the statistics, it has been improving. Even in Anambra, if you ask the observers or see the observer reports, how many polling units in Anambra commenced, say, by 8? Over 75% to 80% from reports of independent observers opened by 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, it's probably got to 90%. But of course, there are still cases like Idemili, where there was that mix-up in the distribution, where it did not start until around 1, and where in some wards, by 1 o'clock, they said, no, something fishy is going on. So they even prevented us from proceeding with the distribution. And that's why we have to reschedule the election to the following day. So we've been doing our best to improve logistics, yet we have not got to a point where it's 100%. When you say you will start, you will start. And we are looking at how we can keep on improving on that. And from what we have been doing, the engagements we've been doing, the training we've been doing, the procedures we are putting in place, we are optimistic that in Ekiti and Oshun, we will see remarkable improvements, and then by the time we get to 2015, we will see even further more remarkable improvement. But frankly, logistics are major challenges of electoral process in Nigeria, as in many other developing countries. But in our own case, I'm sorry to say, I respect you, I don't bash you, you do a very good, commendable job. But there are other people in the media. Maybe we should also do some soul searching